So it's a great pleasure for me to be joining all of you in Spain. I had planned to do so personally, and I'm very sorry that I have to do it remotely from New York, but I very much wanted to be with you at this very important meeting of founders and owners of family businesses in Spain. Family businesses have a lot of the values which the impact movement is bringing to our capitalist system. They have always had concerns to do more than just make money. They've had concerns about doing the right thing for their community. And given how important they are in Spain, I would like to address my comments today to the question of what is happening in the world. We all know the world cannot continue to operate in the way that it is doing. Climate issues are getting so much out of control that even our governments can't deal with them. And we can say the same is true of social issues. The gap between rich and poor just gets bigger and bigger. And however much money governments throw at it, we don't seem to be able to make a dent in poverty and in the social issues that arise from it, certainly relative to our expectations. Now, many people believe that this is the result of our political system. But my thesis is that it springs primarily from our economic system. Capitalism has served us very well for 250 years. It has taken billions out of poverty through growth and economic prosperity. But today, its consequences have become so huge that our system has begun to evolve. It's evolving in the direction of adding to the traditional foundation of capitalism, which has been risk and return, the notion of impact. Impact on people and planet, and in particular, measurable impact. And I want to give you a perspective on the three forces which I see at work today improving our world. It's not something you hear often, that things are improving. But there are three major forces today acting to improve our world. The first is the force of changing values. Many of you will be aware of it because of your children. Many of you will be members of the millennial and Gen Z generations. Young people started all this by refusing to work for companies that did harm or to buy the products they make. This became more widely perceived in our population. It wasn't lost on investors who began to direct money to ESG, environmental, social, and governance investment, amounting today to $40 trillion, about half of all money managed by professional asset managers. So that is a major force, and it can't be a flash in the pan. 7 years ago, at the time of the G8 Impact Task Force, which I was privileged to lead, the figure for ESG was 10 trillion. Today, it's 40 trillion. By the way, in those days, impact investment, which is like ESG, but adds the measurement of the impact created, was virtually non-existent. Today, it's a pool of more than $1 trillion already. In addition to this major change in values, we have a second powerful force, and that is the force of technology. Many of you will have lived through the tech revolution. I was privileged to play a small role in it from my mid-20s when it was just starting. The tech revolution and the invention of the microchip went a lot further than anybody expected. Some people at the time thought it would only change the computer industry, but it brought us massive changes in computing, which led to the cellular phone, to the internet, and everything else which has come to change and improve in many ways our lives, despite the challenges that have been created in some areas. What's happening today with artificial intelligence, with machine learning, with augmented reality, with the genome and computing coming together, is no less than another technological revolution, but this time one which enables us to deliver impact globally in ways humanity could never have previously contemplated. And the third major force, which will be, I think, unexpected for many of you, is the force of impact transparency. Because this technology enables us today to measure the impacts that companies create. The impacts they create through their operations on the environment, through their employment on people, and through their products on both people and the environment. To measure these impacts and to put a monetary value in them, which enables us to include them in financial statements. An effort I've been involved with at Harvard Business School has shown that impact accounting is both feasible and valuable. You can go to its site, HBS, IWA, Impact Weighted Accounts, and you can see the numbers for environmental damage created by 3,000 companies, many of them, or some of them at least, Spanish ones. You can see that 450 companies in that list of 3,000 public companies across the world create more environmental damage in a year than they make in profit. That 1,000 create environmental damage equivalent to a quarter or more of their profit. And that together they create $4 trillion of environmental damage in a single year. But most interestingly for all of you who are trying to build up the valuations of your businesses, is that you can already see a correlation in the Harvard data between higher company valuations for companies that create less environmental damage. And very soon you'll be able to see the employment impact of 2,500 companies, putting a monetary value on exclusion of certain parts of our population from the workforce of a company, pushing the increase in diversity that we all seek through transparency, gender equality, equal advancement for gender and for ethnic backgrounds. And so when you look at these three forces together, you can understand why I call this an impact revolution. Now, when we look at the social issues that are going to follow COVID, the increase in unemployment, the increased vulnerability of population groups that have suffered health challenges as well as employment challenges. When we look at the position of our governments, which have more debt than they have ever had before on their balance sheets, and so have constrained budgets, we can see why these forces are going to push now a shift in our whole economies from risk return to risk return impact. Because governments, which I know representatives of the Spanish government and the opposition are attending your conference. When you look at the needs of governments, you realize today that governments need to bring business and investment to their side in meeting the social as well as the climate challenges they face. Now, I follow Paul Polman, my great friend and colleague in this vast now impact movement. The behavior of companies needs to change. Governments aren't creating pollution and social issues. It's primarily companies that are. And each and every one of you has a role to play in this impact revolution. Each and every one of you can lead innovation within your companies to improve the impact that you create on the environment and on people. And to help shift our economic system from creating and aggravating problems to bringing solutions to the great challenges we face. Thank you very much.